So, you're a business owner dedicated to the significant and sustainable growth of both you and your business. Welcome to the ADDAZERO podcast.
Hello and welcome to the ADDAZERO podcast. I'm Jay Allen, your host and the founder of TrueNORTH, the UK's leading ethical coaching company. Today, I want to talk to you about customer service. Now, I don't know what your experience of service has been, where you've been and what you've experienced and how that measures with regards to your expectation of what it is that customer service is. I'm really fortunate that over the last 15, 17 years as a business owner, I haven't just operated my business here in the UK, but as a keynote speaker and conference speaker, I've worked in 35 countries around the world, and next year I'll be adding 2 more countries to that, at 37 countries and counting. And the benefits of doing so is the fact that I've seen customer service from 35 different perspectives. I've looked at it from far afield, from close at home. I've looked at cheap and cheerful. I've looked at some incredible first-class, world-class experiences. And I'm able to bring that back to the UK through TrueNORTH and to help express it to the people with whom I work. So let's get into why is this so important? And Jay, how does customer service support the ADDAZERO methodology? When was the last time you went to the cinema or out for a meal? Just think back for a moment and determine as to how it was that you picked where you were going to go. Is it that you went to the local, or is it that you travelled further afield? Why did you particularly pick that venue as opposed to the many others that are available? What was it about that event that made you choose that this was the right thing and where to spend your time and money? The chances are that over the period of time, somebody somewhere has given you a recommendation. They've been and they've had a good experience, or they've been and they've had a terrible experience, and they've shared it with the people in their community or in their connections, in their field, their network. I can't remember ever coming out of the cinema, jumping straight onto social media and posting, "That was really average. I'd give it 5 out of 10. We don't tend to do that. We tend to only ever communicate on the 2 extremes. I was at the cinema last night. I'd driven just over an hour to get there and probably passed 5 or 6 different cinemas to get to the one to which we attended. I was there for 2.5, nearly 3 hours. And when I'd finished, I posted on social media. Why? Well, 1, it was a great film. But 2, we had a great experience. From the moment we arrived and were welcomed into the cinema, from the array of different drinks and snacks that we were able to purchase before we went through to our seats, the auditorium was really nicely laid out and there was space to be able to sit comfortably. It was the right temperature. We sat amongst friends and the film started and we watched a film together, and we came out and we had some interaction with both the staff and the rest of the community before people dashed off and left. It was a great experience. And as a result of that, both myself and many other people who attended last night were on social media either last night or this morning talking about what an incredible film and experience that we'd had. 5 stars all the way through. Likewise, it was less than a month ago, I'm afraid to say, that I was back on social media and talking about a dreadful experience I'd had whilst being out for dinner. I'd phoned to determine as to whether I could book a table, only to be told, "No, it'll be empty on a Wednesday, you can just tip up." And sure enough, it was certainly empty on a Wednesday, because probably most of the people had had the poor experience that I was about to have and chosen to vote with their feet. The landlord was grumpy. There wasn't the array of different drinks that I would have hoped for in a pub or a restaurant. "No, that's off, mate. We haven't had a delivery. Yeah, we've sold out of that. You could try this instead. We sat at a table that I needed to ask somebody if they would be willing to be able to come and wipe down, because it seems to be rather untidy, shall we say, from the previous occupants. We were handed a dog-eared menu that had certainly seen better days, only to be told by the waitress that this isn't on and that's not on and we haven't got any of this any longer. And then when the food did come out, although it was presented well, it was lukewarm at best. It was it was less than generous in size, shall we say. And we ended up having to continually ask for, there doesn't seem to be any salt and pepper on the table, or have you got any condiments? We'd like some mayonnaise with our chips. Constantly having to ask and wait, and it just wasn't very well organised. And then we asked for the bill, and then we asked for the bill, and then we asked for the bill. You get my drift. It was actually us getting up and going to walk towards the door before somebody said, "Excuse me, I don't think you've paid." I went, "We haven't been given the opportunity to. We've asked for the bill for the last 25 minutes now and no one's brought one to us." "All right, and will you pay at the bar?" And sure enough, I did. And then took to social media just to advise people of the experience that we'd had. My point being is the fact that we tend to only recommend and refer the two extremes of the experiences that we have, either a 1-star or a 5-star, but rarely a 2 or a 3 or a 4. And I wonder as to the last time that you chose to speak to your existing customers and conduct an NPS survey. When was the last time you went to your customers and asked them for some feedback? Asked them, actively sought out how they have experienced you and what it is that you offer to them. Well, it's on the bottom of every invoice. It invites them to be able to go on Google. Great. How many people do that? How many people have got the time and the effort and the interest to be able to give you feedback unless you are actively seeking it? And yet the key to being able to grow your database, to grow the amount of people that you serve, to be able to serve more people with a better product at a better profitability, is to be able to have feedback from the people that you are currently selling to, and then to have incremental upgrades and enhancements on what's based from their feedback. To understand that all feedback is good feedback. Doesn't matter how damning it is, we only ever want one person to say that and not 101 people to see that. And the only way we can improve is if we give them the feedback and the opportunity to be able to do so. And therefore, the first thing I would encourage is, if you don't already do so, actively seek feedback from the customers in which you are currently serving and invoicing from today. Listen to what they have to say. I'm not saying that you have to act upon everything, but you have to be actively listen to what it is that they want to feedback to you, to understand as to their experience of how it measures up between you and your competition. There was a study done recently, certainly in the last 18 months or so, by Gantt. Gantt are a phenomenal place to be able to get some great data. They research all the time and are able to predict and give some great tables and interest and information that we can utilise. And there was a great study done by Gantt on SME businesses in the UK, probably about 15, 18 months ago now, where they reviewed customers who were currently purchasing from the clients in which they were working for. They took 17,000 customers and measured the impact the business that they've been purchasing from had on them and their loyalty value. NPS is all based around the likelihood of the customer recommending you to somebody else. And what they found was not just alarming, but gravely concerning, particularly if you don't even know as to what your current customers are saying about you or to you that you're not really listening and responding to. What they found from 17,000 responses is that 72% of those surveyed had already committed to reviewing what you sell them against a competitor before the next purchase. Let's say that again. 72% of the existing customers admitted to a third party, an independent, through the Gantt survey, that before they make another purchase from the existing supplier, the existing business, your business, 72% of them would review what you have to sell against your competition. Now, I don't know about you, but I haven't got a 72% profit margin in my business. I can't afford for 72% of my customers to say, do you know what? I'm off. I'm going to buy from somewhere else next time. They've got a better offer. They gave a better experience. They offered a world-class experience. The red carpet treatment. So how many times are you reviewing your current customers? How many times do you go to the people that are actively paying you right now to say thank you for doing business with us? Thank you for choosing us as opposed to our competition. Is there anything else that we could do better, more of, differently? We welcome your feedback. Welcome your feedback. Not feedback form. Most people see a feedback form as a complaints form. And we've got to change people's attitudes that says all feedback is good feedback. Even if the feedback we receive is unpleasant to hear or read or listen to, it's great feedback because whatever they're telling you, they feel less compelled to tell everybody else. And surely it's only by learning what our customers want that we can continue to remain relevant to continue to serve them in the future. How many times have you been taught about the importance of ROI, the return on investment? Whenever we talk about marketing, whenever we talk about sales, there's often an ROI. What's the ROI? Are you getting profit? Are you getting more cash back than that you're spending? When was the last time you measured your LTV? The lifetime value of a returning customer. For me, LTV is so much more important than ROI. I will happily go into a negative ROI at the point of sale as long as I've got a strategy to measure the LTV. Now, let's remove all the abbreviations and help us to understand that in a little bit more common terms. I will happily spend more on a new customer at the point of sale that I'm in a negative balance, that they've spent a few pounds with me and I've spent tens, if not hundreds of pounds on them to win that sale. I will happily go into a negative equity at the point of sale on the knowledge of a profitable lifetime value. Now, you can't do that for every product and service. You can't do that for one-off engagements. But I certainly ensure that all of our products and services, be it single engagements, short-term engagements, or ongoing commitments, that we invest so much more at the start of the relationship than they've invested with us. We are in. We are committed. We are fully of service to that person. And I would argue that we never give up being of service to that person. I know, because of the data-driven decisions and the cash flow forecast we have in our business, as to how far through that engagement we are before we hit break-even point with that customer. I tweak and amend where that position is between a few weeks and sometimes a few months, where we're in cash flow negativity at the point of transition when we start working together in their favour. Because I'm far more interested in LTV that I am in ROI, the lifetime value, how many times they're going to continue to repeatedly buy from me and make recommendations and referrals, as opposed to cash in the bank on day one. And I can only do that by having an active, proactive service to my customers, where we are measuring and accepting all feedback, reviewing, revising, retweaking, upgrading the service that we offer in order to remain not just relevant, but truly bespoke to the customers in which we have the pleasure and privilege to serve. And it's only when we can take customer service to that level of detail that we can continue to collectively grow and scale the business. Your customers are the lifeblood of your business. And yet the majority of business owners spend so much of their time chasing new custom through the front door at the expense of looking after the existing customers already in the room. You've only got to look at the adverts between the films on any of the channels on TV, be it internet or telephone and mobile or data packages, only available to new customers. That compelling offer that's only available for the first 3 months. New customers only. Why? Why? I simply don't understand the lack of understanding of the value of loyalty that a lifetime value customer brings to the business. I'm going to share something with you today that I didn't even envisage before we started recording that I was ever going to tell another human soul, particularly in my business. When we launch a new service, something that we've never done before, and we do it quite frequently because we're receiving feedback all the time from customers, old and new, to determine as to is what we are delivering not just relevant but applicable and what you need right now. How do we shape our services to be best of service to the people in which we operate and work with? What is it that you need right now that we could provide well in order for you to be able to benefit? How can we be of service rather than selling our services? And on a regular basis, the feedback that we get determines that we need or make some amendments with regards to either new products, or we tweak and amend, or we repackage things that we've previously offered and then subsequently put on the shelf and dusted back off again, updated and brought round again. And every time we launch a new product, we put the same offer out. For the first half a dozen people that buy the package, that buy the new service from us, we offer 100% lifetime price freeze. Whatever the price or the fee that we charge for the package on day one of launch, the people that come and join us on day one, the first half a dozen people that say, yeah, that looks exactly what I'm looking for, can we work together? We offer 100% lifetime price freeze on that service. Whether they're buying it as a one-off, whether they want to continue to work with us, whether they buy something and then continue to extend and extend and extend, the price they pay on day one will never, ever go up. I've got 4 clients at the moment. Not collectively, but I've got 4 clients at the moment who joined us on the first day that I opened my business. We launched our business on the 15th of May, and on that day I put an offer to about 34, 35 people that came to join me on the day of the launch. I said, this is who we are, this is what we're about to do, this is what's available right now, who's in? And of the 34 people that joined me on the launch event, 29 of them became customers that day. We went from launching a business to almost being full in a day. And the promise I made to them almost 10 years ago now, was the investment that you make to buy this package from us will never go up for you. You are a founder member. And 10 years on, 4 of those customers are still buying from us and continue to pay the level of investment that they paid 10 years ago, despite of the new fee, despite of the cost of living, despite of all of the rises in costs over the last 10 years, despite the new qualifications and skills and experiences and the programs and everything else that we've put aside since then, that we've created and built. We understand lifetime value is more important, not just as important, but more important than return on investment. And the only way we can do that is to be able to have an active relationship with all of our customers, old and new, to continually, proactively ask for the feedback and be willing to respond to whatever it is that they feed back to us to establish as to how do we remain relevant. So my question for you today is, when was the last time that you asked for some feedback and were grateful for whatever it is that they said to you? Trust me, bad feedback is good feedback in disguise when you can unemotionally connect from the feeling the need to defend yourself, to justify, to qualify, to challenge what people's perceptions of you are. If you can accept it graciously and say, thank you for your opinion on that, I will take it on board and acknowledge what you've said about me, about the service, about your experience today. What can I do differently in order to be able to make a better relationship, to be able to improve on that next time round? Incremental improvement is the key to lifetime value, to being able to continue to listen and to respond. God bless. Take care. I'll see you again next week.
That's all for this episode. As always, we really thank you for listening and welcome your comments, thoughts, and suggestions. So please do drop us a line by emailing podcast@mytruenorth.biz. And don't forget, if you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button on whichever platform you're listening to this through. And tell your colleagues and business network all about who we are. You've been listening to the ADDAZERO podcast, presented by Jay Allen. Brought to you in association with TrueNORTH, the UK's leading ethical coaching company.